refreshing tweets.
Twitches and
The YouTube.
YouTubes.
Let's have a look.
Oh, it's
Is
looking
there any more?
promising.
It should be working.
It's like we're live.
We are live.
It says we're live
It
on
worked.
YouTube, but
We're live on Twitch.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah.
It still says
Yeah.
to this end, in which
Oh, yeah,
case,
there you go.
Good.
We're good.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're on both. I just
then-
recopied the key across and it's
then-
recopied.
Oh,
In that case, let us boil up a pot, take a seat by the hearth, and enjoy the finest of brews with the Journeyman Questers.
it's the Journeyman Quester.
It's been a while, friends, and every time we sit down at our desks, I was going to say the table, but our desks, it brings me great joy to see all your faces in the digital realm. Right. Today, we jump back in as still very rusty role players. These dice haven't seen much use in a while. There's a layer of cobweb and dust about them, but they're ready to be
Fecal
shaken
matter.
and busted. Just a smooth layer of fecal matter has just enveloped them. So, without further ado, we have a catch-up, I believe, by none other than our young resident gnome druid, Zook. What sort of music would you like?
Aye. Can I have maybe a slightly tense music?
Slightly tense.
It's the only
Quite
option.
intense.
Slightly
Yes,
tense.
kind of
Okay.
sinister and a bit wet.
So, this work?
This is a classic.
This
a
is
classic.
my tension classic under playlist tension.
Was there any music?
Oh,
Um,
triggered. Right, take it away, Zook.
Okay. Firelight dances off the sodden walls of the tunnels below Xanthar. The shadows cast by Cinder's playful tumbling resemble great waves rolling and crashing on a coast of cobblestone and mildew. Zook gazes at them, ponderous, as he talks to the small child of the flame. You probably don't like it down here, do you, young one? It's the safest we've got in the city, though. We've got to put up with the stale air for now. No, don't shy away. It's safe. The bad spirits have gone. I didn't realize the darkness dwelling within Richter. Pulling the spirit out from his arm, it had swirled and writhed in the air like a dark tempest. Oh, Cinder, the vastness of its shadow could have consumed you. Well, we showed it the power of rock and root, didn't we? What a foul nemesis, one that splits into more foes with every strike of a blade, with every mote of flame. We overcame it, though, and chased its remnants back into the sanctum, where Numbers and Ganon sat playing cards unassumingly. The demon was nowhere to be seen, until I noticed a second shadow cast from Numbers with no real light source. It was clear this was the beast. Keeping Numbers somewhat in the dark, we released a barrage of lethal attacks his way and chased it out of the room down the corridor, unfortunately towards the office of Randala. In horror, we lost track of it before just glimpsing the shade lying deceptively in the crook of the doorway. Panicking at the thought that it might slip into the woman's quarters and slay her, Dutch ran forward and slammed a large, muscled foot into the belly of the shadow. Squealing, it was no more, as Draug launched a dagger past Dutch to finish it off. Although the beast was already slain, the dagger buried in the door, as it swung open to reveal a very displeased face of Randala Aguirre. She did not look happy, but it was clear that the beast was slain and we had done our job. She closed the door disapprovingly, apparently none the wiser, and we were left to the Eve's dinner taking our supper and a final rest. That was somewhat
good.
improvised at the end.
Mate, you wrote it in about, like, I don't know, very quickly. It was great.
You may have an inspiration point if you have not already, young Zook. He cannot hear me. He can.
Who cannot hear who?
Oh, that was so good. I feel already almost straight away in the zone now. What is going on there? This is unprecedented. A female on our stream?
A woman folk.
Oh my God, Chris is back. Hey, Chris.
Is Chris in? Chris in the chat?
Oh, Chris, big up.
Chris.
Check out Bald Cats 101.
Absolutely.
Halloween is approaching.
Amazing.
We're excited.
Is Chris in the chat? I can't see the chat. Hang on. I got to get the chat up.
I need to log in. I'm not logged in.
I mean, if we ever somehow get to do a giveaway, I'm pretty sure it's only ever Chris that's going to be here to enter it, right?
Oh my God. Well, we're going to make t-shirts, right?
He's getting free stuff.
Oh my God, we got to.
So when we eventually get it together to do a team tournament, like together, a Warhammer team tournament, we can all get, like, obviously we'll all wear, it'll be something to do with our team name, right? Like the, I don't know, like,
our
the journeyman pumpers.
one thick coat.
One thick
Oh,
coat.
that's
Chris
like a
says,
subsect
long
of
time
the-
no quest.
That's a subsect of the
One thick one thick coat sponsored by Journeyman Questers.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's like that is our painting thing, our, like, hobbying.
Yeah, that's the painting one. Right, so
Chris says, long time no quest, and what's our pathetic excuse for not questing?
So the excuse
There is no excuse.
is just life and being busy. But as the winter months begin to set in and the sun gets low on the horizon and darkness falls, that is when the nerds come out, and there will be no excuses, for we need, we can't go outside. It's too cold and dark and wet and disgusting, and we need these
and
times.
our weak immune systems cannot take such
Yeah.
terrible weather.
This chair that has an inbuilt toilet in it, it can't use itself. I've got to.
Oh, did you get that especially for the new Battlefield game?
No, I got it for this. So, dinner's in the chat. So Chris, let us know what you're having for dins. But let us return to the world of Dungeons and Dragons, the world of the Journeyman Questers and the Gypsies of Fortune. You are in the city of Xanthar, and it has been some time that we have been here. In game, it's been a fair bit, but out of game, even longer. Your overall quest originally was to come here and help Celeste Blackwood. Celeste Suncrest.
This is how long it's been.
What is it? Her previous name, her non-married name. What's that called? Maiden name.
Maiden name.
Is not Blackwood, is Blackfriar. So yeah, sorry, Celeste Suncrest. You originally were to take her to Xanthar City with her babe, and that was your sort of charge. But you knew that along the way you had some errands to run in the old city, where both Dylan and Dutch were from. And while you've been here, you have set out on a few different errands. One being to see and find your father, Dylan. Elderwick Grey. You met with Elderwick as well as two of your brothers, delving into his vault and taking essentially what may have some kind of some kind of impact on your lives, and taking maybe a little bit of your inheritance that maybe you never got, and some things that you were due. It doesn't heal those wounds, but hey, why not? You got some new items, some new gold, you met some new friends. However, all was not as smooth sailing as you would have liked. For Celeste was captured, and a note was left. A note from an old friend, or old enemy. Your gang, the Dock Rats, when you originally were in Xanthar, had many rivals within the city, many other gangs. One of which Dutch had a particular run-in, one right before you left the city of Xanthar, heading all the way out of the Empire, back to Angmiri. I say back, it would have been the first time you went there. This particular gang, known as Eldama, Dutch had messed with in a significant way, harming and stealing from a family member of this gang, a very powerful gang within the city of Xanthar too. And so this note was left by none other than the matriarch of Eldama, Eldama herself. One that read that Celeste has been captured, and you were to deliver a certain item, an item known as the Cubic Gate, held by the gang, the Guild of the Midnight Mercers. And upon delivery of said item, Celeste would be returned unharmed. You talked with your old boss, Randala, who urged you to comply with this request, rather than go guns blazing, as it would cause not only likely gang war, but also a great deal of stress upon Randala, who already had a large sum of money that you owed her from her previous dealings with Eldama as a result of Dutch's doings. And so with that, you began, while escaping from your prisons and escaping from various flying, strange constructed guard creatures, you did dealings with the crows and got yourselves the medallions that seemed to cloak you from magical sight. With these new medallions, you were able to now leave Randala's and the Dock Rats gang hideout and head throughout the city. Although you could be spotted in the flesh, you have means to disguise yourself in different ways, and no longer would you be scried upon by the eyes of the Andriont. And you could now focus your attention on getting Celeste back and acquiring this Cubic Gate. You planned a few things. Dylan and Dutch managed to sequester a meeting with one of the guild members of the Mercers, a meeting where Richter would take the form of Hammond. Aha! Here he is. Here he is, right on cue. Right on cue.
As if we fucking planned it. It's your boy.
Let me just leave there.
Hello, everybody.
And then
Hello.
it should be
Hello.
in order.
You're all looking very splendid.
How you doing?
How are you?
It's
Still
lovely to
kind of
see you.
coming off the flu. I have a bad stomach ache, and today a wisdom tooth decided it wanted to fuck me in the mouth. So it's a mixed bag. I'm very excited to be with friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
we were just discussing how great this already feels. I'm just
been too long.
sort of catching us up.
Can you explain to me why we have to go to the Mercers again before?
So, we're looking for the cubic gate, whatever that is.
Yes. So the letter that was left, to remind you,
magical
I will reread the letter.
No doubt.
It plays back in your mind again, Dutch, as you remember in the soft candlelight of the room above the crimson something. Damn, I've literally forgotten all the names of my stuff. In the Andriont, the kind of rooms, the lush rooms that you stayed in the dim candlelight of there, you remember looking down at this note. The blood slick on the ground that's soaked into the carpet, and the body of the bear with me.
The adjudicator of hard dick. I don't know.
No, it was
the
Duke of Banterbury.
I want to get the exact name. Hang on. It is the
Beacon.
Is it
the Cardinal of the Lunar Gate? The Cardinal of the Lunar Gate lay dead. And you also found poor Resquire Calcia as well, crushed and sort of mashed into one of the toilets.
What did he ever do to be deserving of such a fate?
He was a bystander that got caught up in this, and a terrible mess indeed. Dutch, you remember reading?
The citizen of Xanthar. His hands were not clean.
It said, "Dear Mr. Grey, I do hope this letter finds you in time. It has come to my attention that you are back in town, and was hoping to catch up. I have the delightful company of your sweet maiden. She is quite exquisite, is she not? The way the hearthlight dances across her shimmering skin. But alas, I'm sure your time is short. To business. I require the cubic gate, located at the estate of the Guild of the Midnight Mercers. You have 5 days, Eldama." And I think there was a short PS, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, I think, it was PS, something to do with the fact that you might want to clean the mess up or something like that.
Yeah, it was.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
So, you remember, yes, this is your charge. You spoke with Randala, and Randala seemed to... It almost took the opposite opinion of what you expected, that actually she, being a businesswoman, and a good businesswoman at that, didn't want a war, an all-out war with the gangs, and you being part of the Dock Rats would, pull her into that. She'd already been through clearly enough trouble, and the Dock Rats seemed to be leaning on harder times than perhaps they were when you left. A clear high debt of 10,400 gold at this point that you owe her. But she was still very willing to take you in and offer assistance and help, as were some good old comrades Numbers and Gannon. So you organised this meeting, Richter, to take the guise of Hammond. You organised it with a mercer of the guild called Arman Abedi. Buying a luxurious bottle of wine, you brought the attention of some of the merchants over to you, and you organised this meeting for the next day, well, this day, midday. During this time, Zook also split, as well as Ruthus, heading off in different areas of the city to do separate styles of reconnaissance while you headed to this meeting. As you approach, we should say for Chris and people watching, we had a slight downtime, sort of text-based adventure for some of the party. We managed to get more done with some, less done with others. So we'll kind of continue that here live and play it out a little bit more roleplay. But just to catch people up on some things that happened, in fact, Richter, would you like to explain kind of what you've been doing up until this point? Currently, it's nearly midday. You're headed towards the nocturnal nest, but prior to this, you had sort of done a few little things.
Richter has been doing what he can to try and prep for this meeting. He is, of course, from foreign climes, colder climes, not quite so elfy and pointy-eared. So he has been trying to pump numbers. Numbers for information regarding local customs, speech patterns, faces of note. Of course, he is going to be playing an out-of-towner. However, he can't go into this completely ignorant. Also, with the assistance of Dylan and Dutch, he has taken a brief tour around the local markets with the help of the amulets that are helping shield us from scrying eyes. And with these amulets in tow, he has been making a public ass of himself quite fully, splashing cash around, getting into arguments, and also making it quite clear that he has a very severe allergy, which Richter does not actually have. And hopefully all of this information will go back to keen ears, elven ears. The plan is set. Well, it's not, but, you know, we've done some prep.
Nice. I'm actually
laying foundations. Love it.
Laying the foundations, indeed, as a good,
it's all about the art of the deal.
Con artist would. So you've been laying foundations, and Dylan has been sticking to the shadows, sort of watching you from afar. Dylan, you saw a few figures and some of the purple-garbed mercers that you recognise as the Midnight Mercers, clocking Richter in town with his bodyguard, Dutch. Dutch, are you dressed in any particular way? You're your merchant, sort of slightly more.
Yeah, I'm going to be wearing my slightly more regal attire to give off not only the impression that I'm a paid mercenary, but also a tour and a guide, and a person who does have the finer taste, even though it's not approved upon. You know,
yeah.
I buy the expensive wine the Elfie boy can't afford. Not a good look.
That's right. So yeah, not only a bodyguard, but essentially, a tour guide for this this Hammond of the Varamark. A tour of him around the city, showing him the sights and introducing him to wealthy clients, or wealthy patrons, I should say, people, collectors and of rare and magical antiquities. So, you head towards the Nocturnal Nest. Is there any preparations that you like to do as you, or sort of before you're within kind of eyesight of the tavern?
I don't know if Dylan has anywhere he wants to be, or like any kind of because I don't know if your intention, Dylan, is to stick to the shadows, or if you mean to take on a better position.
Gonna just disguise self, use the spell disguise self, and as just a different. So I will take on the appearance of. What's the feel of the area where this is? It like well-to-do?
So,
or like who would be the normal people who work around here? Actually, do I want to? Or maybe like what's like a near? Is there like a dockyard nearby, or is there like something else? So I can sort of. I don't want to look like someone who's specifically from that area.
You can quite easily look like a bargeman. I haven't seen
that person around. Yeah, sure. Like maybe stopping in for a quick drink.
Yeah. So you take the appearance of a sort of middle-aged bargeman, sort of maybe once had a nice haircut, but it's grown out a little bit. But you know, it is work of rough hands, rough skin, lots of scarves around him. Mutton chops have grown out. You fit in 100%. Richter, you're obviously looking like Hammond. I would say at this point.
I am. Well, yeah.
At this point, you've got about 45. Well, that's probably quite generous. Let's say you've used half an hour of the hour of disguise self, so you've got half an hour left.
What, me?
Yeah.
I think that with
Oh, you're using Mask of Many Faces. Apologies. Yes.
Yes. So it's just sort of an eternal. Yeah.
I'm gonna need reminding of lots of
self.
I can recast.
I'm basically wearing the
it
Keanu
as
suit
well.
from. Oh, sorry, Theo. What was that?
Sorry, I was just saying I can also recast disguise self if need be.
I will say that you've really only just cast it.
Yeah.
So you approach the tavern, and upon entering, you see within it is very different to previous. As you actually approached, you saw that there were two mercenary, maybe they look like men at arms, but more merchanty, more silks. They have some kind of coloured trim to them, kind of crimsons, but also purples. And they were definitely not there the day before. There's two of them standing sort of outside the front. But with your high passive perception, Dylan, I'll say that you notice that there are a couple others dotted about in kind of spaces where they can clearly watch exits and entrances to the tavern.
Yeah.
As you approach, they kind of sort of take no mind. But as you approach the door itself, one of them looks towards you, Dutch, recognizing you clearly, although you're not recognizing him. And they just sort of move apart, and one of them pushes the door open for you both.
Gentlemen.
What was Hammond's voice again? I have this weird idea that he had like a Schwarzenegger accent.
Stick in the mud.
Yeah,
Right.
So Hammond's real voice is for God's sake, what are you doing here? It's like a sort of Norse. I imagine like basically a Skyrim. Norse.
Right.
Guard number one.
Yeah. That's Hammond. That's Hammond.
I see these door guards are finally awake.
Yeah, basically. You enter the tavern, and inside you can see that there is no patrons within, just sort of sitting and drinking. But instead, you can see Armin Abedi, the mercer that you met with before, the older gentleman, in his kind of fine silks that drape sort of across him, many rings and kind of beaded jewels about his person. He spins a drink in hand. You can see he has a dark wine of some kind in a goblet. He turns. It is. You have arrived. Oh, slightly earlier than expected. Please come and meet my associates. They have been waiting to meet you. You must be Hammond.
Yes, I am Hammond, and I must say, Abedi, I am very pleased by your understanding of the concept of exclusivity.
He kind of does a sort of a greeting bow, quite low and humble, but you can tell he kind of holds himself in quite a high esteem as well.
And I would be remiss not to introduce my honored guard, who has been showing me Zanfa in all of its splendor and dankness. You are, I don't know, Orc. I can't remember your name. I don't know, but he's very good.
It is
very good.
It is Dutch. We met yesterday. Pleasure to see you again. And he sort of
Pleasure
smiles.
is all mine, I assure you.
These, please, come sit at the table. And you see around the only table with people on in the entire tavern, you see 3 figures sitting around the table. One of them is a kind of similar mercer, but in deep greens. Greens of sort of a very kind of natural taste, all sort of overlapping about his person. Swept back hair, but among sort of these greens, everything looks like it's just sort of threaded in gold trim. There's gold sort of all over him, and even the kind of way the coats and jackets move, they seem to turn sort of from green to gold in certain lights. Almost as if the top of the fabric is painted green, but the underneath is gold sort of showing through. This is Arthur the Gold.
Arthur, pleasure to meet you.
He produces his hand from within the robes and slowly kind of moves it across. He looks human. He's got sort of like a rich tanned skin and very dark eyes.
Is he extending a hand for a shake,
He
or
is.
is he limply moving it forwards?
He is sort of putting it for you to take.
I will. Let's check it.
He grips it.
While-
He grips it very loosely. The pleasure is all mine.
While doing this, I want to have a quick moment to check those corners and just do a very quick perception sweep of the darker corners of the room.
Go for it. Make me a perception check. First
There we
roll
go.
in a while.
That's with Devil's Sight, although I don't know if that's going to help. Oh, mama.
Always worth reminding.
It's a nat fucking 20!
Yeah. Yeah. Scouring the room. All around.
See it all.
It looks as though you are the only ones in the tavern. In fact, there isn't even someone behind the bar. Dutch would remember that there was a younger gentleman behind the bar who served you before. There's no one behind the bar. You imagine the tavern's sort of been paid out so that because they know this wealthy person who's willing to spend a lot of money is coming. We'll take the tavern for ourselves for a bit, and it's clearly a tavern. Is often frequented by the Mercers. Something you know. You don't know whether or not it's owned by them. But no, you don't see anyone at all. Just kind of the light shining in, the midday light through the windows, and there's plenty of movement and subtle noise of the markets outside. But it's very kind of quiet and intimate inside. This is, and the man sort of stands up from the table. He's wearing a breastplate as well as what looks to be sort of male sort of gauntlets and like a what's it called, a hauberk? A hauberk, is that right, Mike? It's like it's like the full sort of like man at arms armored knight. He doesn't have his sword on him, but you can see the sword is propped at a table to the side. As well
It's
as
in reach.
Yeah, there's quite a few different weapons that clearly he's kind of taken off and put to the side. He's dressed in pretty fine sort of armor.
He's resplendent in armor,
but it's very much not an armor that you recognize. It has a sort of a very otherworldly flavor to it in terms of like perhaps a different continent. It looks it doesn't look as kind of thick and protective as maybe the armor you would find in the Varamark. Varamark, is classically quite bulky and dense. This looks easy to move in. It looks quite thin and light. Perhaps a hot climate. You're not sure.
Complete shot in the dark, probably not. But does it bear any stylistic resemblance to Silas's lamp?
It does.
Whoa! Hell yeah!
He stands producing a hand. Yeah, you can see. Yeah, he has his skin is pale, but his eyes are sort of almond shaped. His hair is very dark. He leans forwards and grips your hand in a fine sort of warrior's handshake, and without saying anything, he just says, "I am Wilhelm."
Wilhelm, Hammond, very fine to meet you. And this, I must say, is a very fine suit of armor.
He just sort of nods and sits back down. And finally, this is Omid Naziri, a fine local merchant of rare spices and foods. And you see Omid stands, and Dutch, you immediately recognize this man as one of the two men that you purchased the wine off the day before, the delicious walnut wine. He nods towards you, Hammond, and sort of makes slight eye contact at Dutch as a sign of recognition, but doesn't bring it up.
Well, I can see I am in very fine company in the heart of a very fine city.
Please allow me to pour you this
before.
glass of this delicious wine. And he kind of fills up a new glass for you and pulls it over. A rare and expensive one that Wilhelm has brought. You look at it, and it's like a very thin, sort of dark bottle that looks tall. Smelling it, it smells like a kind of rice wine of some kind.
Bear with me for one moment. I am, of course, a fan of the finer and more exotic things, but in my career, I have learned to be very cautious. I sort of like dab a finger into it, sort of run it between, give it a little closer sniff. This is all bullshit. It's all a performance. But and then after a few like lingering moments, just sort of tips it and quaffs it. Very fine.
You can see the reactions. The three that are kind of sitting around the table look slightly confused and almost a little bit annoyed that you're kind of making a show of someone's going to poison you. And you can see that Armin Abedi, looks kind of almost embarrassed. He's the one who's organised this meeting, and he kind of quickly kind of moves on. So, Hammond, I've organised this meeting with a few purveyors and collectors of rare goods. Omid is a collector of rare spices and foods from all over. Wilhelm from the far continent, and he's known for his carnal pleasures. And Arthur, well, jewelry and metals of all kinds are his deal. But please, I must also insist that I have heard much about you, and I have heard that you are interested in the finer things. And you have a lot of gold you are willing to part with, and we can give you things for said gold that you could not find anywhere else. If you are enjoying this glass, I have been told from Wilhelm that he has at least 6 casks of this, if you would be interested in buying any.
Oh, I think we shall absolutely be purchasing these casks from you, my friend. Yes, but you are correct. I am a fan of the finer things, and I have some familiarity with some finer things, especially for one from the crags of the Wehrmacht. On this, your foods and spices, I'm sure they are excellent. It was only recently that I tried a delicate foreign sausage called Schmli. Fascinating in its flavor. And of course, Wilhelm, carnal delights from far afield, is it? It was not long ago that I took purchase of a little delight of my own. And I very quickly, very briefly, minor illusion, Silas.
Oh, okay.
And then vanish her away very quickly. Fine metals and works of excellency, well, as you can see here, I am no stranger to those. And I have a ruby halberd.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, I think we are in the right company.
I would like you to roll me a deception check, please.
Booyah!
Unless you, well, I guess a lot of that was deceiving, but
I haven't bought Silas. Yeah.
yeah, I was thinking more like, are you going to buy those casks or are you not? But yeah.
I mean, we might, honestly, but Okay, here we go. Okay, reminding myself. Here we go. 19.
Well, let us start small at least, and maybe we can work our way up over this meeting. The casks. Willem, please, how much were you offering for those? He leans forwards. For the 6 casks, I would ask for 6,000 gold.
And here we are in Xanthar City, city of high towers and high prices. But this is nothing short of a welcome. I do enjoy a negotiation, my friends. 3,000.
You see, Wilhelm scoffs a bit on his rice wine, and Armin immediately. We have been told that you are a man of culture and a man that is willing to pay what is required for such quality in life.
As I am, and believe me, I could afford twice what you have asked me, but I am not a man who will be robbed.
He looks towards Wilhelm. Wilhelm kind of moves his hand to the side. I can do 5,000. With any less, and I would feel insulted.
Of course. Well, 5,000 should be quite manageable. We paid more than that for our tour of the Inquisitor's Tower. They let us do things to some of the prisoners, you see. Rather off the books, you know.
Roll me another deception check, please.
Guidance.
Whoop, yeah, went off the table. I'm re-going. Is guidance?
I think guidance
is real there?
Guidance in this situation is hard to
yeah, too
hard
subtly.
to justify.
You like
yeah.
stamp on my foot under the table. Uh-oh. Okay, it's 16.
Okay. Most of them just seem to sort of smile and nod graciously, but you can see Omid slightly kind of squint at you. You imagine maybe he thinks you're embellishing a little, but he smiles nonetheless and goes along with it for the sake. You are, of course, going to be spending money.
Oh, of course, I am a practical man, if nothing less.
Over the next hour or so, there are some negotiations to do with spices, as well as these casks of wine. And Artur produces some pretty exquisite jewelry, and offers you sort of deals upon jewelry. Is there anything in particular that you are trying to achieve in this meeting?
Yes.
Because
between
I guess just it seems like, so the meeting that this has been set up for, the kinds of things that I guess you're trying to look for, more magical or rare sort of things, aren't really being presented, or aren't being brought to just a small meeting in a tavern.
As the meeting goes on and Hammond puts forth rather deceptive potential future deals for, say, masterwork Varamaki and Orcish bas reliefs pried from the very heart of the scabbard itself. And of course, potential trade routes between another purveyor of certain iniquities, a good friend of mine from home, Mr. Icebreaker. But as the meeting goes on, there is a frustration passing across Hammond's face. All these trinkets, wines, jewelry. My friends, I have seen many things in my time. I have killed dragons, stood on mountains of jewels. I have seen women, demons that came from the very pits of the most lustful hells, and I have paid for all of them. I appreciate that this meeting is about us fostering good relations and getting to know one another, but we can stop holding back if you wish and discuss maybe some of the greater aspects of culture. I intend to be in Xanthar for some time. In fact, I am considering moving into quarters here. I have been trying to purchase the home of one Elderic, but his estates are not talking to me. I spit on the ground. In fact, the local constabulary seem perturbed. Some gold has passed hands, and they are upset about some missing woman, a Celeste. She just gave them a baby, but it seems that someone has overstepped their mark, perhaps. So it seems that certain business dealings in this town might be dangerous to proceed with, because I feel there are eyes in many corners. What do you have to say about the current state of things here in Xanthar? Is business sanguine, or are you perhaps holding back somewhat?
They sort of in turn seem to say that business is doing very well, and none of them have had any problems at all with any sort of business. In fact, Abedi says that the Mercers are having one of the best years that they've ever had. And they say as far as holding back, Artur the Gold merely says, well, it would seem that you are holding back, for they have yet to see you actually buy anything, and instead just offer words instead of coin.
Yes, I brought words to this meeting. Did you think I would come here, laden with gold, into an empty tavern full of men I have never met before? My friends, look at me. I have a bodyguard, but I am no stranger to the melee. I understand the situation when I am walking into it. And, as I'm sure you are feeling me out right now, I am also feeling yourselves out, and I'm quite pleased with what my hands have touched so far.
I would like you to roll me a persuasion check.
Persuasion check.
To persuade them to essentially go on your word.
Yeah. And we're rolling this.
Rather than actually have to dish out some gold to prove your worth.
Yeah, and we're rolling this with emissary, so that's another +5 to that. So it's going to be, here we go, persuasion plus 18, here we go. So rolled as a 9, but then we add 14 to it, so 23.
23, okay.
Oh, you beast.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
That's some silver-tongued bullshit.
Artur the Gold slams his hands on the table, turning to Armin, and he reels something off in a dialect that you have not heard of and cannot understand.
Damn it, I didn't cast it.
Dutch readies himself.
And he proceeds to pull his chair back. It scrapes across the floorboards, and he seems to walk out of the tavern. You see Wilhelm sort of nod towards you. Seems to take your word. And Omid Naziri simply puts his hands to his sides and says, I think perhaps if you are interested in spices and rare exotic foods, then come and see me. Your manservant knows where to find me. But I think it is as far as my dealings go here. And he proceeds to leave. Armin sort of apologies to you.
Why? Why do you apologize? No knives have been drawn, no throats have been slit. This is a very friendly meeting compared to some.
It is definitely different to some of the meetings we have here in Xanthar, but of course you are from far, and different customs mean for different styles of trade.
Well, I've come here. Oh, go on. Sorry, please continue.
I am hoping that a request of mine will come back. It has unfortunately not come back yet, and but if it does, we may have an opportunity to visit someone within the guild, someone that we deal with regularly in his area of expertise. But he is extremely hard to organize a meeting with. I do apologize, but I think that perhaps this holding back, which you speak, you would not find that with him.
And were I to meet one so exclusive, I would not intend to hold back. I would be in the lion's den, as you say, and all would be revealed.
Dylan, standing outside, I guess, just sort of mingling
I'm
in.
not unable to go in for a drink.
No, the guards would have stopped you. It seems that it's not open for normal business today.
Would you remind me how long we have with the amulets? Do we have another day?
You bought them for 2 days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got them this morning, and you have until 2 days hence.
Yeah. Morning after next.
Yep.
I'd like to sort of do a sweep of the around. I'd like to see. Is there anyone else waiting for them? Anyone who's obviously part of their?
You see this richly dressed kind of green and gold figure storm out of the tavern, and immediately some sort of mercenary types come and meet him, and he bundles into a carriage and a palanquin, sort of like lifted aloft by a few people, and they head sort of into the markets. I'm scoping about. You don't really see anything out of the ordinary until a sort of younger boy, maybe in his early teenage years, seems to rush up towards the door of the tavern. The guards sort of push him back and then recognize the sort of purple sash around his arm and allow him entry. And Dutch and Richter, you see this boy kind of come in, this youth, clutching what looks to be a sort of small, well, I shouldn't say small, a large coin, but it's flat, much bigger than most. And it looks to be made of sort of a brass metal of some kind. It's kind of clutched in his hand and difficult to see, but Armin swivels and approaches the child and takes the coin from him. Well, we are in luck, clearly. Thank you, boy.
You spoke of?
He fishes in his pocket and hands the boy a few coppers. And the boy exits.
And I flick the boy a gold.
It hits the ground and the boy scurries, grabbing it. Thank you, mister. He sort of runs out.
It always pays to have a good boy.
Dutch.
I don't know what I'm trying to impart with that.
Oh.
Dutch, at the angle you're at, you catch a slight flash of anger in Armin Abedi's face that this kid was given a gold coin. Yes, this is exactly what we were waiting for. It is our ticket in. Have I piqued your interest? As he kind of flicks it between his fingers.
You have, my friend. Nothing quite stirs the blood like coin, and that seems to be a very portentous coin in your hands.
Well, we have a few hours to kill before we are admitted. And he kind of pockets the coin away. So why don't we drink some more of that rice wine and discuss some of these stories that you have in the meantime?
Of course. That would be very fine.
Meanwhile, Zook. We did a text-based adventure sort of downtime thing. Do you want to kind of go through that, or would you rather wait and sort of reveal that info when you meet the guys in game?
I'll go through it now because then I feel like it'll be easier to explain. There'd be a lot to go through as in play. So Zook essentially went out that morning and headed to the guild of the Midnight Mercers, and he spent the morning just circulating the actual estate, and what he found was I think it was something like a kilometre wide park, at the centre of which was the estate itself, ringed completely by walls or high fences. And there were towers with sort of lookouts, two sort of lookouts per tower dotted around the fence. And then inside was several pathways leading through the park. I feel like it was quite open. There was some sort of lines of trees that were clearly planted, but like mainly just like sort of lawns and things. Very vast, and there was also a maze on one side of a sort of labyrinth of hedges on one side, which was probably the only non-clear part of the estate. He flew up as a pigeon and flapped around some of the windows, landing on some of the sills and peeking in. There seemed to be some kind of preparation for a large event or banquet of some kind, with a short, portly man in black and white liveries, kind of directing bossily people around, and then he quickly shooed away the pigeon as to not have any droppings laid on the building itself. There were a few windows, a few entrances on ground level, I believe. Most of them guarded. Were they guarded? The doorways themselves?
It seemed like it was patrolled.
Yeah.
And so there were plenty of windows. There was a huge balcony, sort of at the front, at the top. You know, like a terrace balcony, and there was a couple doors leading inside from there as well.
Yeah. And a few patrols were moving around the park with hounds, obviously to sniff out any would-be intruders. But there were plenty of chimneys on the rooftop, and there were also some carts coming in through the gate, obviously delivering something to the house proper. But I don't believe I saw the contents of the carts.
You saw some of them. It seemed to be produce and food and things for like some kind of event or banquet.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the extent of what he found.
There was like outdoor sort of marquee tents sort of being set up and things.
Yeah, and then he basically just scouted out the estate, looked for any like entrances to the sewers. Couldn't see any in the estate itself, but there were entrances to the sewers in the streets beyond the fence. And I think I scouted out. There wasn't much activity on the rooftops, or I couldn't really see any criminal activity in the area, as far as Zook could recognise criminal activity with his rural upbringing. And that's about the thick of it. And he flapped back to the docks and returned to the seat.
That's some good recon.
I'll look back through the messages, see if we can find anything.
Cool.
In addition.
So
we don't know this yet, do we?
No.
Okay.
A few hours pass. Dylan and both of them seem to be looking through the window, seem to be enjoying sort of just chatting and reminiscing, and Richter's clearly doing a good job of sort of being this character, and Dutch is sort of being...
we pulled the handles out and they made me a king.
Just over that time, I'd like you to make me a deception check, Richter. And Dylan, I'd like you to make me a stealth check.
Okay.
And let me know if you want to recast or you want to kind of sneak off and be out of sight.
Yeah, I think when I feel the spell ending, I'd like to actually maybe sort of just sneak into the tavern and just have a little snoop around. I won't bother casting invisibility or anything. I'll just have a little snoop around, and then maybe sort of see if there's anyone else in the path, anyone else with a Betty. That's what part of them, and see if there's anything else, like that sort of thing.
Sure. Roll me a stealth check.
Dice.
What did you get, Richter?
And that was when we realized that the morgue was hiding the jewels inside the cadavers. It's not great. It's 14. We're embellishing a little.
There's kind of laughter, but they seem to... You can tell that they don't believe some of the stories you're telling.
Yeah.
Dutch, what are you doing during this time?
I'm listening to him regale stories and just enjoying it. I'm the bodyguard. I don't get involved.
Straight vibing.
Hey.
Oh, amazing. So you managed to kind of sneak in, as you scoped this place out the day before, you managed to sneak in through one of the upper windows round the back where you you looked at with Dutch. You sneak around upstairs, kind of looking about, but it just seems like it's totally empty. But you can listen in to the conversations that are sort of being had downstairs, and you can sense that there are 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can sense Richter and Dutch and two others. One that you recognise as Armin, and one you saw through the window as this kind of a armored figure.
Yeah.
During this kind of few hours, Armin takes you aside at one point, Richter, and he expresses sort of takes you out of earshot of Dutch, as Dutch you maybe just sort of have awkward chat with Wilhelm. He informs you that Dutch is a known criminal, part of the Dock Rats gang, and that he, as much as he's obviously been doing a good job showing you around, he could be out to steal some of you. He's essentially sort of letting you know that this guy you've hired is actually a criminal for a gang, that they clearly know about, and he's sort of letting you know that just to watch out about Dutch.
I thank you. I thank you for your candid admission of knowing this man's nature, but believe me, I knew that he was a wronger when I first met him. Look at him. Look at his painted skin. Quite attractive, isn't it? But I was drawn to this one. I already knew he was a criminal. I was directed to him by others. I knew nothing of his gang affiliation with these dock vermin. I knew not that, but I assume he is looking to make a little more gold than I am willing to pay him, and that is why he's a good bodyguard, because he knows the truth of it. He looks out for himself And he won't lie to me and say I am more important than the gold. I know it, I'm not. So, I am telling me this, but we are on the page, if you know what I mean.
He chuckles and you sort of
have,
cheers glasses together and share in this sort of secret together.
I must ask,
that's
Ammon,
also sort of a lie.
do you have beef with Dutch? Has he wronged you in any particular way?
No, not at all. We tend not to deal with the criminal underworld too much these days, although it is helpful to have eyes and ears places. No, we merely do our research. Sorry, what did you say, Richter? Insight check, right.
Insight 15.
He's difficult to read. He seems truthful, but he is a mercer after all. The few hours go past, and Zook, I imagine it's essentially sort of during this time you've flown there and you've flown back, and no one is at the sort of the dock rats hideout of the gypsies at the moment.
We arranged to meet somewhere.
I think you all said that you were gonna sort of meet back at the dock rats hideout.
Yeah.
Shortly after the meeting, but you weren't sure when it was going to end, and it's already been a few hours.
Yeah.
Eventually,
fair enough.
Armin stands and says, "I think it is about time." Wilhelm, it has been a pleasure. And Wilhelm stands up, nodding towards you. Please. If you wish to truly purchase these casks from me, then you will have to ask our humble in-between and come and find me.
You shall hear from me soon.
He nods deeply, taking his weapons, and proceeds to leave. And Armin escorts you out the front, along with Dutch, and both of the kind of guards that were outside kind of fall in line too. He walks around the corner as a carriage pulls up. Quite a luxurious carriage pulled by two sort of dappled mares. It has kind of purple filigree and gold on the sides. And one of the guards sort of opens it up and he gestures for you and Dutch to step inside.
I go to do so, and the guard letting us in, he's one of the guards from the door of the tavern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. As entering the carriage, I deposit a bag with 10 gold coins into the guard's hand as he gestures us in and say, "You know, in a town as busy and bustling as Zanfar, you did a fine job keeping that tavern empty for us. I think I would like hanging out with your friends." And get into the carriage.
Okay, yeah, he takes it. As Dutch, as you sort of go to enter, Armin sort of moves past you and enters and begins shutting the door. Clearly not actually inviting Dutch in, but Dutch will walk alongside with the other guards.
Yeah. Is this okay with you, Dutch man?
I'm your guard, am I not?
And you are the finest guard the Wehrmachian could ever hope for. I feel like Hammond's getting gayer.
Yes, he's taken a turn.
You know what? Characters develop, and it's fucking great. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So you enter the carriage, and Dutch, you kind of walk alongside the carriage along with a couple of the other guards. In fact, there is space for you to kind of sit on the carriage. There's like the section at the back that you can sit on, or you can sit up with the driver.
I'll sit on the back and light a pipe.
Cool. You sit on the back. It's bumpy, but you know you spill a bit of your tobacco, but it eventually gets there. It's a ride. Dylan, you see them kind of heading off in this carriage. And I guess you begin to follow from the shadows.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Can I'll be trying to listen to the conversation happening inside?
Yeah, sure. We'll sort of pass through this travel journey, which lasts about an hour, as you pass through the merchant ward, which is the 7th ward. Double checking. Let me put on this music. Yeah, you pass through the 7th ward, over the bridge, and into the 12th ward. The 12th ward being the working guilds, which you know to be the. Interestingly, the working guilds is the home of Eldama. It is Eldama's ward. And also, well, Zook knows this, the 12th ward is where the Midnight Mercer's estate is. So it sits within the same ward as Eldama. And clearly, that's perhaps why there is this rivalry and she can't maybe do the thing. You enter the working guild's wards with its tall sort of brick chimneys and working houses, and dotted within these you can see huge walled estates and gardens. Wealthy sort of manor houses sit behind tall stone walls with spiked tops. There's a real sort of, rather than the merchant ward, which is sort of all this kind of hustle and bustle and wealth, the working guilds feels very much like a two-part ward where there's this industry and this sort of working class hustle and bustle, as well as this wealth, this immense wealth only shared by a few in certain areas of the guild. It's very split in a way between these two kind of senses. The cobbles are kept well kept and clean. The streets are much wider and there's more space to kind of move around. There's large sort of warehouses. It has almost a slight feel like Soul Reach in terms of its sort of industry and craftsmanship. There's a lot of forges and there's a lot of kind of like kilns and clay works and glass works, as well as sort of linens and dye works. There's a lot of sort of craftsman industry happening, but above you can see the occasional sort of walled estate or tower that looks to be a guild, a sort of merchant guild of some kind.
I'm looking out the window, I must say. There is a distinct lack of, shall we say, inquisitorial presence in this region. Can it be said that gold buys a certain amount of privacy in this town?
Yes. The Inquisition tends not to come this far away from the Andriant, and they know us to be an upstanding and integral part of the city and its business. No, we tend not to get that sort of prying attention here.
They know the way the world works and who moves it. Of course.
Exactly, as he kind of cheers you again, sipping from his goblet once more. You pass along these cobbles. Dylan, while you are making your way behind the carriage, sort of, I guess, shadowing it from sort of back streets, I would like you to roll, seeing as you're not in a vehicle, I'd like you to roll on the random encounters chart.
Sure.
So,
what have you got for me?
Just sort of picturing
now in
Dylan
guild.
sketching where he's like on a skateboard holding onto the back of the carriage.
Gold pro skate stuff.
Yeah.
Sort of
Just getting the SKATE across like the rooftops.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just when it like fire starts spray not fire, like sparks spray out the back of your trucks. Oh, so good. So good. So roll me a D20, please.
Sure. 18.
An 18.
Ooh, yes, son.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay, I need to just see whether, because you are actually stealthing at the time. Can you roll me a stealth check quick, please?
Sure.
Please say the kobolds have followed. The kobold nation has followed Richter here.
Another 20.
Another 20.
Kobold
Out of
unit.
interest,
Another 20.
are you hiding like from sight, or are you hiding from sight of the carriage, or are you more like just blending in with the crowd?
Oh yeah, blend in with the crowds, definitely.
Okay, in that case, the stealth
Unless
check.
I can Ezio across the rooftops, but that's probably not like.
That probably worked in the merchant guild, but in the working guilds, the rooftops are often chimneys, and the roads are very sort of spaced out.
Yeah.
So
sure,
Now he can
makes sense,
Ezio through the crowds.
you blend in through some of the crowds. It's not quite as busy, but you essentially
No.
just walk
Yeah,
by,
makes sense,
keeping slightly out of sight of the carriage, as to not let them know that you're sort of tailing them essentially.
Sure.
However, as you're walking along, you sense a large presence close, heading in your direction. And as it gets close, I need to roll a dice.
Oh.
What
roll?
An 18? Does an 18 hit?
Oh no.
18
Yes.
potentially. I think my
boy.
AC is 19 off the top of my head.
Double check.
Why isn't a character sheet ready and out, bro? What's going on?
Surely the rogue
It
can
is.
roll out the way.
It is 18.
It is 18. Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, you're walking along, and yet you hear and see those like sort of pings of starlight in your black vision, and you feel you sort of dodge to the side as you feel something whoosh through the air towards you, and you feel an impact with the side of your face right in like sort of the cheekbone. There's a crack as you stumble backwards away, and you hear this voice yelling, "Ugh! You son of a bitch, you slept with my wife!" And there's another sort of whoosh noise. This time without advantage. A 9. There's a sort of whoosh as a large sort of haymaker comes whooshing over, but you duck beneath. What are you doing?
Fuck him up!
I'd just like to sort of. Is there lots of people around?
There's not too many. It's like
Is there like a dark corner, like quite in the immediate vicinity?
there's maybe about like 5 meters back there is like an entrance to one of the like sort of courtyards of the guilds.
Let me just have a little look.
Like a workshop. There's like a brick archway that would lead into an out of sight courtyard of a like warehouse workshop.
Let's have a look here. Let's do something fun.
That's always good to hear.
Let's actually just go for let's go for a
just beat it right off.
Deafness blindness spell on him.
Okay.
So I just sort of like he comes in for another swing, but instead of like fully dodging out of the way, I sort of actually go into a sort of a pseudo embrace and then just like let the dark energies just like pump through his system.
Okay, so he needs
Nice.
to roll a con save.
Oh god. Yeah, let's have a
Gonna
look.
have to check.
What do you roll anyway?
Not great, but I'd like to know what it is.
Kindness, deafness. Yeah, it's a con save.
It's a con save. +2, so a 10. I imagine
That definitely fails.
fails. The large sort of thuggish man, you hear him. Actually, blindness, deafness. It's not both. It's one or the other, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is it?
which
Yeah.
one would you like?
You can blind or deafen. Yeah. So blind.
Yeah.
You hear him.
Blind in one eye, deaf in one.
I'll just make my getaway with that.
You bastard! I'll get you next time. You keep that pecker away from my wife! He shouts as you just sort of dart off. I'm just going to roll some perception checks real quick.
It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, wow.
In Greek-
A 4 and a natural 1. You kind of sense or listen out towards the carriage, but you don't hear any guards sort of yelling towards you or anything like that.
No, oh good.
You just hear the faint noise of the guy slowly smashing into the wall by accident and then walking into what looks to be like an oil sort of lamp post. Yeah, that was a great one. 18. And an intimidating man walks up to you and punches you right in the face. He is very angry. He yells at you. He thinks that you are the guy that slept with his wife. Apparently, you look exactly like him. I like that one. Okay.
What table is that?
It's a table that I created through
For random encounters?
Yeah, through yeah. I've done like a bunch of random stuff. Some I've stolen, some I made up.
So it's a rollable percentage that this guy thinks he's been cucked by Dylan.
It's a 1 in 20 chance that there's
Nice.
a dude who's been cucked. Yes.
By someone with a horrific visage.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't look like that, right? Oh no, he does. That's right. Yeah, he does look pretty crazy. Anyway, so there's someone else who looks like.
drunk.
Okay, you continue further into the working guilds until you enter quite a large area of sort of workshops. It's like there's 3 tall brick chimneys that surround a series of warehouses that are all sort of clustered together, and you enter through a kind of gate, which, as the carriage approaches, some mercenaries open and close behind you. As you move into the kind of courtyard inside, a sort of well-dressed, like a butler type sort of person walks up and taps on the window, and pulling the curtain sort of aside. Armin passes him the coin and says, "I believe that Kashmiri is expecting us." And the butler sort of nods towards both. Yes, if you would kindly follow me, please. And he turns, opening the door for you, Richter / Hammond. Escorting you towards a sort of discreet metal door with a slit at the top. He raps on it a few times, and the grate is pulled to the side. And as the grate is pulled open, you hear faintly within noises and voices. You hear kind of laughter and cheering. Eyes sort of look out, and Armin passes the coin in, and it's snatched sort of through the gap. You can see Armin has a little bit of sweat sort of dripping on his brow. He quickly sort of wipes away with a handkerchief. But eventually you hear many locks on the door open, and the kind of iron door swings on its hinges. Inside is another sort of very anonymous looking butler type character, and Armin sort of gulps and takes a step forwards. But the butler pushes a hand and says, "I'm afraid that the coin only allows for 1 to enter," and they look towards you, Hammond. Armin immediately, but I was the one who set this up. I've been waiting for so long. You can't do this. And a couple of the guards immediately start kind of pushing him, getting in the way and moving him back. Hammond, please, I set this up. As he kind of is beginning to get further and further away. Are you doing anything?
Guards? Yes, I am stepping in. Guards? What is the meaning of this? I have traveled very far to meet someone as esteemed as the doctor. But I will not walk into that room unaccompanied. This Armin.
The butler turns and
but
says,
the sweetest guy.
Armin is known. to us, and he shall not be allowed entrance. But you may bring your guard along with you. That, or you have no entrance.
Well, everything is a negotiation. And I guess I just say fuck off to Armin. Gesture and
No,
sweet.
You cannot do this.
Tell them I will
Armin didn't
contact
invite
him
me
for
into the
wine.
coach, just shoulder check him a little bit as I walk past.
He's not looking at you. He's looking away, and you just shoulder check him hard, and he falls to the ground, like onto his knees. He's not old, but he's in his later years. You will rule this day. I have waited for years to see him, and you take this chance away from me. You take this chance away from me, as like guards from this estate are kind of leading the others, the purple-robed guards, as well as the carriage out, and until you are both left there by the door. You can still hear the kind of cheers and laughter from within. Dylan, you can see this from the sort of you're looking round the edge and sensing like into the courtyard area, but the gate's about to open, letting the carriage back out.
100% cast invisibility at some point as I see we're approaching.
Okay.
And sneak in.
In which case, roll me a stealth check, please.
Sure. With advantage.
Effectively a teleporting ninja at this point. It's terrifying.
28.
28. Sneaking within, you spot a narrow sort of opening of time where you can slip in through that open doorway. Moving in within the corridor, it's just some stone steps that lead downwards. But you can hear and see sort of light. Well, you wouldn't see the light. You can hear many voices down below. Hammond and Dutch, you file in behind the butler as he leads you down into the depths of the working guilds. Zook, you sit waiting for the others, maybe about an hour back at the base. But eventually, Ruthus returns. Ruthus kind of comes in and tells you that he has sent a bird. So this is what Ruthus has been up to. Ruthus sent a bird using his new animal messenger spell with a note to Professor Fandel of the Fifth Tower, the older gentleman from the university that you met.
The Antiquator.
The Antiquator. He's sent a message to him, asking him to meet with you. In fact, I will read the letter that he sent. He said, "The last time we spoke, you graced us with your knowledge and expertise on a truly important topic within history and antiquities. I'm afraid I need your wisdom once more. I come to you once more as fellow intellectual and man of the world. If you would agree, then I would be pleased to meet with you this evening at 6 p.m. at the borrowed time, where we could discuss further. Yours sincerely, Ruthus Suncrest." Ruthus sent this to him about an hour before and has yet to hear a response. But as you sort of sit and wait and hope the others come back, which you don't hear from, eventually, Numbers... in fact, Gannon returns, clutching a small pigeon in his hands. I don't suppose this is to do with you druid folk, you gnomes, but this pigeon was down in the sewers and nearly got eaten by a bunch of rats. It's
I see.
It's clutching something though. Don't peck me, you fucking. It's like freaking out in its grasp.
I'm gonna say to the pigeon, "Whoa there, Fred! Don't peck him. He's been good to us." Be nice.
You prize a small sort of a note from its grip, and upon
take a look.
Upon opening it, it's just splattered with bird shit, all on the inside, not on the outside, all on the inside.
Okay. Is there a way I can try and like get my bone knife and like scrape the bird shit? Wait, splattered on the inside?
Yes.
Can I try? Yeah, I'd like to try and scrape the bird shit off and see if there's anything underneath.
You scrape the bird shit off, and it's just now a sort of smeared bit of paper with bird shit on it, with less bird shit on it. What have you got there, Rufus? I mean, Zook, says Rufus.
Either someone has a very strange sense of humor and is trying to insult us, or we have somehow made nemesi of the local pigeon population. I can't understand which.
No.
It's covered in bird shit. What could this mean?
And Rufus says, "Let me see," and he takes it. And immediately, as he touches the piece of paper, a mouth bursts from the parchment and reads.
Oh, man.
Is it made of bird poo?
Nope, it's made of like a mouth, like a physical mouth kind of appears.
Made of a mouth.
Made of a mouth. Your name has cropped up many times around school of late, and not good folk. My youthful curiosity is certainly piqued. See you there, comrade. And the mouth slowly disappears.
Wow.
Is that him? Is that Vandel?
It sounds like it was his voice, yeah.
Well.
25 words.
Yeah. Where did he say he wanted to meet us, or where did Rufus decide to meet him?
I said that we should meet at the
Borrowed Time.
At the Borrowed Time. Oh, I went to Numbers' room and did some research and found that there is a purveyor of magical antiquities, a shop or some kind of some kind of residence called the Borrowed Time. I suggested we meet there and kill both birds. I don't actually know why Rufus said there, but I imagine to kind of check both out, or I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, maybe seeing as the others aren't here, I would quite like to check on them though. Perhaps my only means of checking on them would be to scry on them, but we'd have to leave the chambers, so we may as well do that on the way there. Do we know if the magical scrying amulet would stop me from scrying on others?
Make me an Arcana check.
It's a 15.
You gauge that yes, it would, because it doesn't know whom is scrying.
Where the
on
scrying's
it.
come
It is not personal to anyone but the person that's attuned to it. And I would say that obviously everyone attuned to it required attunement, so you can only be attuned to 3 things at once. So note down what you unattuned if you needed to.
That's a good point. Are the stones, are they attuned?
The stones
they
are
require
an attunement, yes. So the halberd, the circlet,
Okay. I think I would have unattuned to the cloak of Face Seasons, probably.
Okay.
Stuff that in my bag.
Oh, good.
When you unattune to the cloak, interestingly, it just turns back into this sort of regular woolen cloak.
Oh, cool.
And you can just roll it up and pack it away.
Yeah, nice. So I guess we'll head out into the streets, and then I'm going to find a secluded alleyway near the docks, and I'm going to cast scrying on Richter. Okay.
Casting the spell about you, it fizzles out and seems to have no effect.
Sorry. I forgot. I'm going to take the amulet off and then cast it.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. You imagine because he's wearing it, it's stopping.
Ah, yes.
We're wearing it.
It all comes together now. Well, no. Obviously, I can't get through. I hope they're doing okay. We're just going to have to trust that they're doing all right. But before we go, can I leave a message with the baker to let, or we can go back down into the sewers and just let Numbers know that we've gone to the borrowed time, and that should the rest of the gypsies turn up, we will be going there and then coming back to the dock rats thing. Okay. And let them know that the time we left, so they know how long we've been away, should they return.
Easily done. You begin heading to the borrowed time. So, heading back to you three, you head down into the underneath of the working guilds, into Kashmiri, the Collector's Sanctum. In fact, this is probably too...
Motherfucker.
Let's do this. As you head down, it begins to get warmer and warmer until eventually you come out through sort of a curtain that the butler sort of pulls aside into essentially a large underground tavern. There are sort of people laughing and drinking. They look to be kind of, working people, working guild members of some kind of perhaps metalwork or other craft. No one really seems to pay you much mind as you enter. In fact, let's put some more happy music on like this. No one seems to pay you much mind. But the butler leads you on, leads you further through the tavern, across the floor towards one of the far doors. You're led through these far doors and up some wooden steps along a sort of balcony that seems to look across some kind of open kind of square area, still underground. Although you imagine not too far under. In the pit, you can see it's almost similar to when you were in Mr. Icebreaker's sort of seedy salt rooms. Less of a large sort of column with water at the bottom, but instead kind of an open sand pit, like a sort of small coliseum, like a small gladiator sort of pit. You can see people kind of crowded around the edge. You've been in this situation a few times before in the kind of cities and criminal undergrounds, but rather than seeing humans sort of battle it out and scraping within this, instead you see two beasts sort of crashing into each other. One.
How big are the beasts?
So one is large. It is essentially a huge snake creature. You can see that like a naga of some kind. It kind of writhes up large with two arms either side, a great snake's head and fins down its back. You see in one hand looks to be a large heavy mace, and in the other some kind of blunt sort of serpentine instrument, like weapon melee instrument, which is sort of just dripping with viscera and gore. It kind of reels back, wriggling through the sand away, just been crashed into by what looked to be another sort of large beast. But instead of this kind of snake-like beast, instead you see a spider-like creature,
No.
all its limbs. In fact, I'm just going to pull up a picture so I can really easily describe it. Not for you guys. I'm just going to describe it for me. Yeah, there we go. A like an arachnid beast, not bigger than this this Naga creature. In fact, slightly smaller, about the size of like a giant spider. But you can tell it's definitely not a normal spider at all. It has kind of almost rock-like carapace about its body, and around where its eyes are, it's almost like peeled away from that bit. 2 large mandibles beneath. Yet it hums and vibrates with a kind of magical energy. You can see some of its sort of plate armor around it. This kind of rock-like, maybe chitin, has kind of cracked and fallen away from it. And as the Naga brings its heavy mace up, clubbing down on it, you see this spider-like creature vibrate rapidly. And you see it shift and disappear from where it was, kind of sand in the dust spraying out as it appears behind. And at the same time, this web kind of sprays out from it across the Naga. The Naga begins sort of like writhing and breaks the net off itself, breaking free. It turns to face this strange spider-like creature. And the spider-like creature looks around, up, intelligently, kind of looking about it. Clearly not just going in for the kill like a mindless sort of creature would, but instead eyeing up and around. It turns, facing its foe once more, and you see its arms sort of like begin to kind of twist and wriggle about it as black tentacles burst up beneath the sand, grasping the Naga and pulling it to the ground. The spider begins to sort of back up, crawling towards the edge. And you can see men with like long poles begin kind of like pushing it back into the pit. It's about the size of like a horse, this spider, so it's not huge.
Pretty fucking big.
I mean, it's like
IRL.
It's like a giant
spider.
It's like a giant spider size, but it doesn't seem like one at all.
It's not quite Shelob or Mongolian.
It moves away from the people standing sort of poking it, and you see again the kind of magical energy about it hums and it just disappears entirely. Watching the pit, you see the telltale signs of its 8 legs scraping through the sand. You can see where it is, but it is definitely invisible, and the Naga seems to know where it is. It brings one of its maces up, saying something in a serpentine language. In fact, does anyone speak? Let me double check. Does anyone speak
Snake down.
Abyssal?
No, not me.
A sort of snake-like abyssal language.
Am I there? Am I there?
You are there, yes.
I understand abyssal.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't want that song. I keep putting the wrong thing on. You hear it curse in its strange demonic language. It curses this beast. It calls it a dokufu. As it curses it, it kind of lunges forwards, bringing its large mace up for a final strike. But you see the invisible spider appear, and the Naga kind of its muscles flex as it's pinned in mid-strike, kind of coiling upwards, and it slowly is pushed down to the ground until it drops its weapons and turns completely sort of numb and void of any sort of thought or emotion, and just runs itself straight into the spikes at the side of the pit, just skewering itself on it through its sort of jaw and side and face. And the spider begins to kind of back down and kind of pull in its legs once more. The crowd roars, some cheer, and money is sort of exchanged all about. A kind of large grill is lifted up as people push the spider back through a sort of gate. It looks almost sort of juvenile as they sort of push it back down into these. It shies away from these humans, but didn't seem that scared of this big naga. You're led further on past and through a set of large doors, and eventually into a dimly lit, well-decorated chamber. Within this chamber, you see on the other side there is sort of like discussion and chatting that's sort of happening. There's a group of people kind of eagerly awaiting something. They're standing in a small kind of circle with goblets of drink of some kind, and they're kind of talking to each other. And you can see that they look to be wealthy. Dylan, can I get just a acrobatics check to allow yourself to nimbly move through this kind of underground lair?
29.
29. It's your forte. Jumping out of the way, not spilling drinks, sort of squeezing between people as they walk past, handing money to each other, ducking underneath hands that are passing coin. You follow the other two and the butler that leads you all the way into this this dimly lit chamber. Ahead of you, as you kind of approach, the figures turn and sort of smile towards you, eagerly sort of whispering to each other. As in, sorry, to their scene.
I was going to say although I'm invisible, I would like to hide, like knowing that potentially there could be. I would like to hide in a way that people actually might be able to see me.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Roll
as much as possible.
Roll me a stealth check then, please.
Okay. I'll be 25.
Okay. You stand in this dimly lit chamber, and there's a loud clang as the doors behind you are closed. The butler sort of pulling them shut, and the figures in front sort of beckon you forth, whispering, but all facing away from you, facing what look to be, or what looks to be now, as your eyes adjust, a stage with sort of a curtains that are drawn. There's a table with drinks and some sort of refreshments to the side, and eventually, the crowd sort of hushes as you watch forwards. And the lights flare as the kind of flames flash a bright green, and the curtains are drawn open as you see before you what looks to be a figure, a huge, tall figure, dressed in like a very extravagant doublet. The hair is almost like spiked up in a fashion that looks like a single flame of red. And as you sort of feel the heat sort of gushing onto you, you see that it is not just red, but it is actually a flame. The head itself, this hair, just fire that kind of gorges off this red skin. Before you see what you can only guess to be a fire giant. Dressed in kind of this kind of metallic doublet, looking to sort of replicate linen and fabric, although is clearly made of something far more durable. The heat of this person sort of seems to travel across the room, and the people that are like closer to you almost shy back, like you're near like a large bonfire. One of them is like, "Oh, it's Kashmiri. It's him himself." The giant bellows out across. "Welcome, one and all. Are you doing anything at this stage?
I would like to reply with a loud, well met, said in Giant, which I am fluent in.
The fire giant's head turns, and he is, it is big. It's a fire giant
big?
is. Hang on.
Are we talking Cloud Giant or like?
Yeah.
So
seen some giants
in the hierarchy of giants. In fact, Richter, why don't you roll me a quick history check?
Oh yes. Wait, I remember now. It's 8.
There are giants.
They're big. Big enough. Some of them are that big.
Okay. So, you have. What giants did you see when? Oh, they were the hungry giants. What giants have you ever seen in person?
Probably like some regular ass giants in the Varamark.
You've seen hill giants, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've met cloud giants as well, haven't we?
So you've met, but he was a dwarfed cloud. He was like corrupted, so he wasn't actually very big. I would say that. You know of the giants. You know that hill giants are kind of the most common, just big humans. Essentially, they're usually about 16 foot tall. They're the big fucking giant. There are also stone giants, which are slightly bigger, and then you have heard of fire giants. These kind of molten giants that live deep underground, and they're usually about 19 foot. So yeah, this guy's like 19 feet high. But you also know of, there are frost giants, storm giants, and cloud giants, and they are even bigger. The biggest of which, storm giants, are 26 foot. They are massive.
Goddamn.
A person only comes up to like mid shin, basically.
Right.
So you sort of come up to the knee of, your head is at the knee of this fire giant, although he stands on some kind of platform as well.
So is he made of fire? Like
his skin is red, but it looks to be glowing and producing heat. His hair atop his head is ablaze, and he seems to be wearing like a clothing designed to look like fabric that is obviously obsidian or metal or something that's not melting.
Right. Okay.
The giant stoops sort of towards you, and you can see bits of embers kind of cascade out between sections of the plate doublet. And well met to you, shiny human, replied in giant.
I bow very, formally.
You all have come today on this afternoon to meet with the Kashmiri, the collector. You wish to gaze upon his splendor, and there's the flames ignite a brighter green once more as sort of more ash and smoke billows up across the ceiling. You wish to see the delights. You wish to see the goods. The vast collection. Who among you is worthy to witness such beauty? One man steps forwards. I am. My name is Olive, and I am of the Bronze Guild. I am the strongest here. I wish to see the collection with my own eyes, since I was a boy. The giant sort of looks towards him, but waiting to see if anyone else will speak out too.
Sort of glancing.
Anyone
else doing anything?
Another person steps forwards and sort of proclaims that they are stronger than this fellow here, and they've been sharing drinks almost like just before this, and they immediately start getting in a bit of an argument. Silence! And sort of more embers spill from between the cracks of the skin. You speaks my tongue.
I step forward.
What say you?
I would let these ones prattle and tire themselves out before I will reveal myself as the one who is worthy. The one here who has the fortitude to embrace one as grandiose and iridescent as Kashmiri, the collector. And I'm gonna basically really, really, really hope that heat resistance I've got is gonna pay off at some point.
You get close, but the heat resistance means that you are close to him to the point where you would imagine a normal person would begin to suffer, and you can see in fact, due to your disguised self, people cannot see. Maybe there's some smoke emanating from you a bit, but your armor is beginning to heat up, and the clothing beneath you can feel sort of singeing. But you yourself are managing to kind of resist most of the effects. Well. The giant laughs as kind of embers spill out from him. And
I don't dodge the embers.
He turns, stooping away and moving off down the large tunnel sort of behind. Until those doors, the giant pulls shut behind. Until once more you are left in the dark gloom. And there's a sort of soft clapping as a simply robed gentleman walks into the room, wearing sort of deep blues. His face is very angular and sharp and pointed. He has sort of some half-moon spectacles right on the end of his long nose, which becomes sort of bulbous towards its end point. He has no hair to be spoken of, but large eyebrows that sort of protrude upwards, those kind of ones that almost look like an owl's. He comes stepping into the room. Well. It would seem that we have a winner. And the people around you immediately turn sort of towards you and begin clapping. A few of them hand money to each other, clearly betting on something that you were unaware of. The gentleman approaches you and Dutch and extends a hand. Greetings. My name is Kashmiri, the collector. Pleasure.
I do enjoy these games. Hammond of the Wehrmacht, an even greater pleasure. And this is my excellent guard and good friend, Dutch.
'Tis a pleasure to meet you as well. So, it would appear that you have won this small bet of mine. And you have come, of course, to peruse the collection, have you not?
Oh, of course. We have traveled very far to find things that cannot be found elsewhere. And Xanthar has already revealed some of its glory to us. I think we will find more here, though.
He begins rubbing his hands together. Well, the collection, of course, is vast. But I must know, what is it that you are seeking from me? Is it rare and exotic items? Is it magical things beyond your desire? Or is it knowledge? Knowledge that one has within the collection that nowhere else could be found?
I believe that I seek all of these things in a single aspect. You see, I have been sent here by many great minds in the Varmark who speak of an artifact. I know not of it. In all my years at sea, in the sky, on the plains, and in the woods, I have seen many grand things, things I could not necessarily put words to. But there are those who tell me of something called a cubic gate. I have never encountered such a thing, but I was told Kashmiri the Collector would know more.
He slowly pushes his glasses up to the top. Well, I can potentially see. Perhaps there are. And he kind of wipes his word a bit. Bear with me just a second. And he turns round, and you see, reaching into what looks to be a sort of sack on his side, he kind of whispers a little and pulls his hand out. No, I don't appear to have that thing. The cubic gate, you say, at this time?
That is how it was described to me, yes.
Right. Well, the collection is vast and is almost unfathomable, but there are occasionally things specific, like you have come to seek, that I don't have at the moment. The cubic gate, you say? He's going to rack his brains. Ooh. Yes. I remember now. Something did pass through the collection for a short time, but I am afraid I don't have such a thing any longer. I do dealings with a lot of people, you see.
Of course. And I suppose it would be pointless for me to inquire as to who might have gathered this. I have to assume that discretion is a large part of your business.
It is, sometimes to an extent, but I feel bad. I usually can always produce the thing that people are after. You can see the kind of irritation on his face, that the thing that you have asked for, he does not have. I sold such item already to someone. A Lord Balthazar of the Guild of the Midnight Mercers, you see. And I'm afraid that he would likely have it now, a very rare and precious item indeed. I have sold him quite a lot of things in such years, and he is a wealthy patron. It is unusual, though. He is usually the purveyor of exotic creatures like the ones that I'm sure you saw fighting earlier. I sold him actually a rather large adult version of the spider-like creature that keeps besting all of my, all of my other bettings.
Well, the greatest treasures are those that can bleed, is it not? And what better way to enjoy them than to gamble them in a mortal situation?
Please, though, there must be something else that you seek that I can offer you.
I mean, I have jewels, I have spices, I have contrabands, shall we say, that are not necessarily permitted in certain realms. However, I do have a small but growing collection of my own of, elemental stones. Powerful, old stones. Monoliths, you might say, that have a certain internal power to them. I don't know if that would jog your memory at all.
Elemental stones, I probably have.
But my friend, there are only but a dozen or so of these in the world, and I have 3 of them.
He sort of wets his lips a little. have not heard of such things. It is... Your name was again?
Hammond.
Well, Hammond, it is rare that I meet someone who can wow me with such fancies. Things that I have not even heard of. But how could I... Am I merely to take you on your word for this? What are these elemental stones that you say are so
Might
rare?
we have a private audience, merely behind a curtain or something? But these are very exclusive things.
He claps his
show
hands
you
a couple
now.
times, and the crowd that was within this area disperses. He looks towards you.
We've got a nice sort of clear room now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. I reveal my ruby halberd, and then over the course of 10 minutes, I gradually focus on it, meditate on it, chant to it, and it whooshes back into its monolithic stone beating form.
There is a as the energy sort of pulses out from that location of where the stone
Soon
is.
as that's done, I begin the procedure to turn it back into my halberd.
And as soon as it's done, I ready action to kick some fucking wholesale ass if people kick off.
He looks up towards it. My. I have heard tale of these things before. I did not realize when you said stones that you meant such a large monolith.
Oh, yes.
He places a
As I
hand
say.
to it, and he feels this sort of thrum passing through him. Amazing. How much do you want for it?
My collection is growing, my friend. I appreciate your own collection is vaster than mine, but this is part of my collection.
I
However,
appreciate that, friend.
This
but
is one.
everyone has a price. Shall we start at
This one.
100,000 gold?
This one is very dear to me. However, there are others that I am not so attached to. This one is my pride of place. But I know of others and where they are located. In fact, these are the places I am heading after Xanthar to acquire them. However, some are more out of the way than others. And perhaps that information could be of use to some collectors out there.
Well, it certainly could. You say you have 3. Could you not part with perhaps one of them? 300,000 gold.
They are not with me. Only this one, which will stay by my side until the day I die. But perhaps discussion could be had for one of the other 2, maybe. One as black as the very heart of night, the other as golden and resplendent as the sun itself. To see them, you would really know. You would truly know.
He sort of begins licking his lips together. Well, perhaps you could come back when you have such items and acquire the necessary funds. But for today, what is it else you seek?
There is another thing, though I do not know if I necessarily wish to possess it as much as I wish to locate it. Sometimes information is the most invaluable thing. And it is said, well, it is not said because it is kept quiet, but I have ears inside the taller towers of the Inquisition. and I hear murmurs of a disappearance. A woman who recently gave birth to a kind of, well, perhaps some kind of demigod, a bird figure. There was a big event in town recently that she was present at. However, she has apparently not been seen in some time. To know of her location, that would be worth something indeed.
I have this knowledge. How much are you willing to part with for it?
$20,000 gold. Can I roll a deception? Because I do not have access to 20,000.
You can roll a deception check.
Yeah, okay. Come on.
Randama.
18.
Very well. Do you have means of accessing this?
I can return with it. I do not enter into strange houses with 20,000 gold, although I hope to one day. But I can go to where I'm keeping my things and meet again in perhaps another location, or come back here.
Very well.
Perhaps on the morrow.
You may return, and I will share this knowledge with you.
Will I require the coin that Armin was given? Also, I meant to mention, quite the trick you played on Armin there. He was quite... Oh, it was quite sad. He was in the carriage. He was so happy with himself, having such a wonderful night, and to have it snatched away from him like that. Now that, my friend, was a treasure. To see that!
Well, let's just say we have a long history of teasing the Mercers, or at least some of the more fresh recruits of them. Upon the morrow, then. It has been an absolute pleasure to meet you, Hammond.
And you, Kashmiri, indeed, it is rare to meet a man as resplendent as yourself, even in climates as fine as these.
And please, this dark version of the stone that you seem to have, $500,000 gold. Have a think about it.
I will think on this.
And I know
My
you said
collection is dear to me.
you are not willing to part with yours until you die, but what would 500,000 platinum be to you? Have a think about it. Don't answer now. Just think about it. Think about what you could do with that amount of coin.
Can I specifically insight? Do I actually think he has access to that kind of money?
Roll me an insight check.
11.
No idea.
I would love to get a gauge on this guy
Roll me an insight.
over
Roll me
this
an
conversation.
I genuinely had the thought of, I'm sure Theo wouldn't mind rolling a new character. Let's
15?
kill him and sell the shit.
What'd you get? A 15. He is certainly a shady figure, but you have no idea.
Is 500,000 platinum even like a realistic number in this?
Yeah.
Like, that's
Platinum
a
is
lot
10
of-
gold? 100 gold? 10 gold.
Platinum's
Oh,
10
God.
gold
It's
each.
5
so-
million gold.
So it's 5 million gold, yeah.
I mean, bro, there's obviously a demand here. If we go out and get them and just sell them and then watch the fucking world burn from our mansions,
See,
let's
this is-
fucking go.
See, this is a good example of because you guys are in a you're a good campaign. Imagine if you guys were chaotic and you were like,
Do it.
Well, fuck this. It's very dependent on the
How
fact
would
that
you
one.
carry that
Gold,
much
blood
gold?
and gold.
Blood and Gold Incorporated.
Let's fucking go.
You, unless there's anything else, you begin to leave the.
Oh, how shady is he?
What did you roll?
No, but I'm looking at him. How shady is he looking?
Roll me an insight check.
Okay. What is that? Wisdom?
Yes.
Yeah, it's an 11.
You don't know.
Man, this guy's good.
You smoked too much of that pipe on the back of the carriage on the way here. And I can see you're role playing in person too, Mike. So that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's great.
So
Spark one up with that fire giant.
you head out through the sort of the throngs of people.
Have they given us any kind of mark or token that we can use to return with, or are they just going to do it on face? All right.
You get the gauge that maybe you'll be given another coin. Someone will find you.
Ah,
Oh yeah, one of those little running boys that you like so much.
well.
You
How much
eventually.
time do I have left? On
I
ability?
think maybe like 20 minutes more still.
Oh, it's so tempting to follow him.
Kill him.
I don't think it's that easy. Someone that wealthy and yeah, and to have lived this long is not going to be a feeble foe. So, was there doors that closed behind?
There were some large doors that closed, but as these two exit,
Yeah.
would be your chance to go with them or essentially maybe be trapped. So it's up to you.
Okay, if the DM says that, I mean that's pretty. Let's not lose
No,
sight
as
of
in
the
you're
mission.
trapped in the room. You can do.
Yeah, but I could get out. I could open the door and get out.
Yeah, but
Why not?
people might see the door open if you're invisible. If you know what I mean.
If I'm quick, then it would be okay.
They're like
Start
they're
another
like
fire.
big double doors the size of part of the wall.
That's what I
They're
mean.
like big enough for the fire giant to get out through.
I'm going.
Okay.
Back
Yeah,
with
no,
these
Theo
guys.
can use his master stealth technique of lighting a fire that burns down half the industrial district.
If anything, like Dylan has proved that he's good at starting fires and killing people or maiming them in fires. 'Cause that's
What
happened.
have I done now too?
I'm trying to think if there's any others before
Yeah, because I
then.
did one in the apartments after Celeste was taken.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you did one that basically
warehouse.
killed Brenna the boar.
Oh no, things are going wrong. Gasoline!
And then Dutch
Yeah,
is
why
like,
not?
"Oh no, things are going wrong! Quick, kill someone!"
He hasn't done that much killing.
Headbutt and run!
You know what hasn't? Zooks is
Who
quick,
hasn't?
quick.
We
Things
haven't, or I
are
haven't.
going wrong. Turn into like a massive ape. What's Rick?
Aiden, things are going wrong. Die.
Rick says, "Oh no, things are going wrong because I'm dead."
I'm squishy. Yeah.
I like that he said Aiden.
I forgot
and
to
not
use my abilities.
Yeah.
That would potentially save my life.
Well, no, because Richter. Oh yeah, shit. But yeah, no, Richter and then Kofin and.
Rufus just tuts disapprovingly.
Rufus gives you all knowing nods.
Knowing head shakes.
You exit the Kashmiri, the collectors, with some information regarding the Cubic Gate, whether or not you're going to return or have time to, or if there's point, is up to you. But you head sort of back into the city. Is there anything that you wish to kind of communicate on your way back to each other?
Basically, I just want to ask these very sharp-eyed boys to make sure we're not being tailed, really.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case,
Boy.
Dylan, make me a perception check, and everyone make me stealth checks if you want to sort of disappear and not be followed.
Fuck yeah, I'll roll some dice. Let's go.
Right. Perception is 16.
Richter would just like to walk into a darkened doorway and then walk back out in a different disguise, if possible.
Yep, that's definitely possible.
I now look like someone make a suggestion.
Just like a really, really fat guy.
Yeah, I'm big. I'm a corpulent boy now. Yeah.
Dutch,
now
what did you get?
For the team, I rolled a natural 1.
Nice.
So Dutch loudly shouts, then proclaims that he started.
Richter, what did you get on your stealth?
Oh, I didn't actually stealth. I was just gonna sort of like in a crowd.
Roll a stealth as sort of to not be seen doing that at least.
Uh-oh. 2.
It's 2, nice. And, Dylan?
48.
Oh, another nat 20.
Oh my god, 3
I can
stealth
picture
20s.
Richter just walking into a doorway,
What dice are you using?
stopping,
It's not that
and
little
his
one,
back's
is it?
still showing, just changes, and then reverses back out again.
What did you get on your perception again? Did you say 16?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you see that there are indeed a couple of people following you through the crowd. They're pretty like regular looking people, but they seemingly are following corners and following you
Richter.
I would
like to,
at a distance.
if it's possible, I would like to. What I'll do is I'll like, as I see Richter's like going off, I'll sort of tail the guys tailing Richter and that,
Okay.
and then the ones that are closest to him, I'll do. I don't know, what should I do to like. What would be a good thing?
their soul.
That's literally where I go from 0 to 100 very quickly with this character.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I do? Make them blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll just like walk past and just sneakily just shank one, like sort of unlethally, but like in like a real painful play.
Okay. We're gonna
Just
do
to,
this.
like, really
we'll
fuck
do
with
this
them.
as a sort of a skill challengey type thing. So, make me a stealth check to sort of approach them again.
Okay. Shall I just not use my one from before?
Good point. You did roll a natural 20. Yeah, I'll give you the first one as a success for free then in that case. And then
Okay.
roll me a sleight of hand to sort of stealthily slide your blade into the side of one of them.
Oh, it's good. 31. I sort of like not go for like an artery, but like, you know, somewhere where it's gonna like
Just fatty.
hit a pressure
Soft-ish.
point, and then
Yeah, your thin
Right.
blade like stabs in maybe sort of like the side of the thigh or something.
Attack your punch.
yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
he just kind of cries out as you whip back and move into the shadows, and his friend immediately is like, "Oh fuck, yeah!" and begins like holding sort of his leg. What the fuck happened? And they're sort of looking around, but at this point you guys are gone,
Nice. Very nice.
and you begin heading back.
Very impressive.
So to finish this session off, I feel like Rupert hasn't had too much going on this session. Sorry, Rupe.
It's nice to just get back into the environment.
It's so good just to listen to Aiden just
Yeah.
play.
Aiden was feeling it this session too, so you're on it for all of us, man. You make your way through town, and following Ruth's directions that you found from Numbers' research, finding this the borrowed time, you head towards the where is it? It is. You head towards District 8, which is actually the one north of the West Docks, and the District 8 is the Commons. It's essentially the district that used to be partly crows, partly Brenner the Boar. The Commons is essentially just housing estates.
Did you mean Brenner the Boar?
Yeah, the Boars used to be the ones that ran District 8.
Oh, as in from Valdoral.
Yeah, she So the history of the Boers was originally in the city, and
Oh,
then
shit.
she also had to escape.
Yeah,
The
I wasn't
Boers-
there for that like whole 4 months of
So the
playing.
Boers still exist in the city, as far as you're aware, but not run by Brenner anymore.
Okay.
Because Brenner was the Brenner and the White Tusks, and as far as you're aware, there's obviously some other faction of Boers that split off from her. Law that kind of is, I guess, just too much law. Yeah, District 8 is kind of the commons. It's where just the common people live. It's like stacks of higgledy-piggledy houses. It's very much like this. It's not slums. It's still like nice houses. There's lots of bridges. It's very like enclosed. There's no markets. It's just people live here. It's a huge, big area, and it borders the large canal to the Andriant on the southern side. So opposite the canal, where the kind of main bridge cuts through, the Gilded Way actually cuts through the commons as well, is the military ward, is like the one within the Andriant on the other side. So you can see it's kind of high peaked roofs, and like barracks areas across on the other side of the large canal way. You head through the commons. At this point it's like probably like 4 o'clock, so you've still got 2 hours until the meeting with Fandol, and it takes you a bit to get there, so we'll say you get there around sort of 4:45. I would like you to make me a quick roll on the random chart. Roll me a d20.
An 8.
An 8. We've had that one. Roll again.
3.
3. You walk past a kind of a low seedy tavern. It doesn't even have a name. There's just a symbol, and it's just a house, a sort of like broken house symbol. Someone stumbles out and throws up onto Rufus. And it just throws up onto his. Rufus shoves the guy back.
Oh dear.
He's not here, so that's a classic. Something sick related if you're not here. Yes, someone stumbles out of a nearby tavern, so drunk they double over and vomit on the party. So Rufus gets sick on him.
Rufus got puked on.
Oh, because he's a gnome as well, it'd be right on the top of his head.
I imagine it like got on his neck a bit, and like it's not thick. It's water. It's very mead. It's just mead that's come out of that guy's stomach.
I
guess
so sticky.
I go, ooh, that's quite pungent, and I use shape water to kind of try and extract it from his body and just like flick it off onto the cobblestones.
It doesn't really work too well on alcohol. You can get some beads of moisture off, but it doesn't. The magic doesn't quite seem to hold in the same way. It's not like water bending. It's magic. It's different.
There goes my blood witch control.
You eventually make your way to the borrowed time. Within the commons, it's kind of situated in a thin house, kind of tall townhouse, squashed between many other tall townhouses. And the only way you really recognise it as a shop is because it does have a kind of windowed front. The curtains seem to be drawn, and it doesn't seem to be open at this time. But you can see a swinging sign in the kind of wind that's passing through an hourglass that's sort of on its side. Interestingly, the sand is in the top half.
Cool. Is it? Sorry, did you say this was a shop or a tavern?
It's a shop, as there's sort of a glass window and one of those like glass fronted shop windows, but there's big curtains and they're just drawn shut.
All right. Can I? Might be a bit strange, but can I like peek through the window and can I use Druidcraft to create a gust of wind to try and blow the curtain at the side so that I can peek through.
There's a glass pane and then the curtains.
Yeah, but could I maybe like control it from within the building?
Oh, interesting.
Like,
I want to look at gust of wind really quick.
it's just
yeah, hang on. 60-foot line of sight.
Well, no, I'm using Druidcraft.
Oh, you're doing Druidcraft. Sorry. I think with a cantrip, I think it's blocking your
Okay.
way.
All right. Well, I'll gently.
Yeah, I reckon I'm going to say that you can. It's just maybe a little bit harder and it's not as effective. It's like harder to almost control the magic through a glass pane because it's like a bit removed. Yeah, you flick it aside enough to gauge a little bit of the inside. And you see there's no light on the inside, but you can see vague sort of wooden cabinets and glass display cases within.
Well, I guess we got to do it the old-fashioned way, and I'll get the staff of pie canopy and wrap it on the door a couple of times.
Wrapping it on the door, it kind of ricochets to the back and the inside, and you hear a kind of ding, 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 ding of like a bell that would knock if you open the door. You wait some time, but no one comes to the door.
Okay.
Ruther sort of turns to you and says, don't know, we've got some time to kill. Maybe we should just wait here?
Well, I suppose so. If we've got some time, we could at least have a look around and see what's around these streets. So maybe we'll have a little look and see if there are any other shops or anything.
Searching around the commons, roll me another d20.
Okay. That's a 15.
15. Oh, we've had that one. Roll again.
13.
13. Oh, as you begin to walk away, you can hear the crack of thunder above you as a storm begins to roll in and hail just showers down on you.
Oh, nice.
You both sort of duck in to a sort of archway beneath it, and this like big hail the size of like fists begin just smashing down. You can hear tiles of the roof sort of cracking and bits fall off, and people are just sort of, anyone that's out is just running inside. It continues for a time, but it gets smaller to the point where the hail is kind of normal rain size.
Zook actually looks at the streets with shattered ice shards all over them and says, I'd almost forgotten what it was to feel the elements. This city seems so enclosed, like it's not really out there experiencing the wild. It's nice to have it pour down on top of your head.
Rufus turns towards you and points towards your circlet. Zook, look.
What is it? I look up at the circle.
You can see like a light or like a glowing, but it's hard to kind of look directly up.
I take it off and have a peek.
You can see lightning like cracking around the circlet, and occasionally you kind of hit it, kind of like a, what's the static ball thing called? The science. It's always in science museums.
It's like an electrode ball.
As you kind of put your hand close, it connects. Like it's connecting to it, like little cracks of thunder. You hear another bolt above you.
The tempest has filled it once more. Oh, Mr. Jack would be so thrilled. It's regained its magnitude. It's fantastic.
You look up and there is a figure standing just out under the hail. But the hail is hitting the ground beneath it, like it's passing through this figure. The figure turns, just kind of draped clothes over its kind of skeletal husk of a figure. And he turns.
I level my staff at it.
And points towards you both. It's funny, really. That circlet of yours, he wants you to know. It isn't full. You need to climb.
I need to climb.
Rufus looks sort of towards him and looks towards you and kind of blinks. You can see him as well? The king?
I can see someone. He sounds like the king, but it means that
you look
Rufus,
back down.
wait here.
When you look up and down, the king is no more to be seen in the street. And you get this sense within, like a pulling towards the sky.
I'll be right back, and I float out and just turn into an almost entirely white eagle now, and just whoosh, and just head skywards.
Rufus is like, oh, okay, gives you a knowing nod as you bolt upwards towards the sky. You go up, like you did in your vision, the original vision with the jack. Cracks of thunder and hail begin kind of smashing down all around you. I'd like you to make me a dexterity saving throw, please.
Ooh. Right. Rolls as a 2. So I can't imagine it's... I think the eagle's probably only got like a +2 or 3.
I think it's +2, 3. What did you get?
Like a 4 or 5.
Oh. As you approach, you roll sideways and you hear this and light just flashes in your vision. You take 18 points of lightning damage as a bolt courses through you and then into like a nearby rooftop as you're kind of coiling upwards.
That's reduced to 9 because of the circlet itself.
That is correct.
I'm assuming. Okay. I buckled down and sort of losing control, flailing wildly in the air for a moment. Zook flips onto his front and regains control and flies kind of horizontally before banking up again and trying to head into the eye of the storm.
You head up further and further. I need you to make me another dexterity saving throw.
Okay. Use my white dice. Come on. That's an 11. I can't. I need to find the actual fucking
giant eagle
documents. It's not. It's a greater giant eagle. It's on the. Hang on. It's on the expansion thing. I've got it here.
Yep. A normal giant eagle is +3, so I imagine a greater is same or better.
Greater is also +3, so okay. 14.
A 14 is still not good enough. Oh, fucking hell. This time you take 24 points of lightning damage as a full bolt of lightning catches you through the chest. You see the skeleton of the eagle beneath the feathers for a second as it kind of like flashes vibrantly.
Oh, God.
You see feathers have like burnt and charred and fallen from you, but still you push up. Are you still in your form?
Yeah, I'm still in my form.
Okay. Make me a final dexterity saving throw.
I'm pushing on. Oh, it's not good. Only a 9.
Okay. As you get closer, it becomes more and more. You take 31 points of lightning damage.
Ooh.
As it
reduced
courses,
to...
It is halved, so reduced to 16.
16. Okay. I'm still a greater giant eagle.
Okay. What's your health?
I've taken 37 and it's got 52, so I think 15.
You take these bolts of lightning, but eventually with one thrust, you fly up and out the top, banking up, the sun bright above you, piercing down on a churning sort of tumultuous grey twisting storm beneath. It's blue up here and it is quiet. Only the soft rumbling of the thunder beneath gets to you as you're pushed your way once more through the storm.
Nice.
As you back up, you see before you a figure standing in the air, sort of hovering about as you kind of flap in mid-spot. He turns, his cloak's whipping about him, his handsome face and sort of scruffy, curly blonde hair whipping in the wind sort of up this high, and he smiles at you. And as you come close, he touches your forehead with one finger, and you find your form shrinks back to that of Zook, holding the Staff of High Canopy. You blink, and the jack is gone, but you feel a thrum of lightning coursing through the circlet, and you know that it has regained its charges. You topple back and begin slowly falling back down towards the storm. What are you doing?
Okay, I'm going to let myself free fall for a little bit just before I get to the storm. I'm going to spend one of the slots, just one, to cast fly.
As
and just
you approach,
hover above them.
Stop in one spot. The circlet kind of lights with wind and electricity that passes about you. You feel it vibrating about your person as you come to a halt, flying in the air.
Then I would like to... Is the storm? I guess the storm's kind of so big that I have to go through it to get down to Xanthar.
You imagine so.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to cast... No, I can't. Fuck it. Let's go. We're just going to dash through and hope for the best.
You dive down once more through the storm.
I'm going to be like spiraling and zipping like side to side.
Make me a dexterity saving throw.
Oh god. Oh my god, I've been rolling shit. That's an 11.
You take 28 points of lightning damage, halved to 14 points of lightning damage. As a bolt catches the side, you can see it courses through the Staff of High Canopy, and tiny birds, just sort of flutter out and disappear from the staff. But it doesn't char it. It is magical after all.
Okay, kind of shivering and jolting, and then spinning it off. I'm going to swerve to the side and kind of zigzag throughout the air.
As you
still
zigzag
trying to
down
avoid the lightning
towards the city beneath you, you can see it kind of sprawled out. All these kind of rows of houses, this geometry of great human and, well, not just human, but like mortal proportions. And eventually you duck down and the light seems to glow behind you. And by the time you've landed, there's just little bits of rain landing on the ground around you. And you look up and the storm has just sort of evaporated outwards, like it never even existed to begin with.
I'm going to try and find where Rufus was in the commons.
You fly down, landing sort of on the wet, slick cobbles. Rufus sort of standing out on the street, and you land sort of beside him.
Yeah, I'll float down. Oh, well, sorry about that. That was a detour that I imagine probably was a little bit unexplained. But
Rufus gives you a knowing nod, and we shall end the session there. The easiest way to roleplay Rufus is knowing nods. Well done, everyone. That was
Good to be back.
we're dusting the we're dusting the cobwebs off, definitely. But
yeah,
I'm looking forward to the next sesh.
I'm actually really hyped for the next session. Hopefully I won't be as fucking knackered next time either.
yeah.
Fine. So thank you for watching. Thanks everyone. We should hopefully be back kind of more regular from now on. And we look forward to seeing everyone again. Thanks for watching.
We do. Godspeed.